So today I finally watched, or I mean, not finally because I just came out, but I've watched the Until Dawn movie. So before I give you my thoughts on this movie, I should give you my thoughts on the video game, which I've played this year, at the beginning of this year. I really had a great time with the game. I thought it was scary. I thought it was very interesting and really loved the gameplay of how it was an interactive game where you can choose what happens to the characters, uh, and also the death scenes and some of the jump scares were pretty horrific and kind of got me creepy. Especially I loved with the monsters and the psycho. It was a really terrifying game. So I played the game in preparation for this movie because I heard about the movie before playing the game, um, and I felt a little. I don't. This was a movie that I had some mixed expectations because for one, the trailers, it didn't feel like an Until Dawn movie, and also I feel like doing an Until Dawn movie is strange because basically the game is already basically an 8 hour long movie just with some gameplay and some interactivity. Um, but also at the same time I wasn't surprised when the film had a 49% Rotten Tomatoes. And it seemed like I didn't watch any of the reviews on YouTube, but it seemed like a lot of it didn't like it, just from the thumbnails alone. Maybe John Campia from the two thumbnails he has, but we'll see. Um, but I just watched the movie, and I'll be honest with you, I actually had a good time with the movie. Although I really enjoyed it as a horror movie and less of it as an Until Dawn movie. Um, but technically, there are some things that are like Until Dawn. Like, of course, like one of the big plot points is that one of the like a character is being declared missing, even though that character is technically dead and killed off in the opening, which is is a big plot point in the game if you play the game. The movie also switches in like type of like horror genres. Like at one point it's like a slasher movie, and some points like a monster movie. And it's kind of like what the game does, that trying to pay homage to to other horror movie cinema, which is cool. And like the psycho, like the killer and like the one of the monsters does resemble like the ones from the video game, which is nice. And also the doctor, uh, who first appears in the gasoline. It wasn't until the explosions, which I'll talk about in a second. When he starts talking, I start to recognize his voice, and the more he starts talking, I realize this is the dude who plays the doc the old guy from the video game that talks to the psychopath that turns out to be one of the main characters from the game. I thought that was awesome, man. He did play a very menacing and sinister performance, and especially and yeah, I'll talk about that later. Um, and I'll be honest with you, if this wasn't an official Until Dawn game, like a sequel to Until Dawn, I feel like this would have been a good game because it does something different, not just a rehash of the first game. Though I feel like as a movie, it feels weird to do it as an Until Dawn movie, if trying to do something different, because apparently in this movie the horror genre switch doesn't happen at the same time, where characters are separated in different type of ways and they later die separately. apparently the movie they all them die twice. You see them die 3 times in 3 different. No, wait, no, actually 4 times in different time loops because of a cone that doesn't look like the one. Unfortunately, sadly, doesn't look like the one with the game with the skull. Um, but and also and the movie feel yeah that's kind of fortunately not like the game. And honestly, there was a lot of parts in the movie watching where I felt like this movie was like a script that was like supposed to be like a different kind of horror movie, but then someone read it and was like, "This is like Until Dawn," and the director was like, "Yeah, you're right. Let's make it an Until Dawn movie," and that's how it went. It just they wrote it as a different horror movie, and they just decided to shoehorn it as an Until Dawn movie. Um, but I have a lot of praises for this movie. One, there are some really great kills in this movie. They are bloody and quite terrifying. Where it's like the killer uh, stabbing some character in the eye, or like the character's game exploded exploded, which came out of nowhere, but it was really shocking and really gruesome. Uh, One of the main characters at the end kills the killer, the serial killer, and it was a very gruesome death scene. And the fight scene between one of the characters fighting a zombie was kind of a little intense. And when and there was some gross scenes like this character that transforms to a monster eats like a like a lung or something like that. It was really gross. And also one of the female leads has like this slug on her cheek, and it's like really ew. And there was some very good blood in it, and some very cool effects and makeup in this movie, which I think that's very awesome. And there was a lot of times where the movie got me with the jump scares. I was like, oh my gosh. And I this movie works as a horror movie, though as Until Dawn it's a little bit of a letdown, especially the ending, because it doesn't end the way Until Dawn ends. But that's also okay at least, though it's a little confusing at the very end where like there's a whistle you've heard before in the movie. Though it's a little confusing this time, because if you watch them, because you know what happens to that character that whistles, it feels weird that he's still whistling. Doesn't make sense. Um, um, and I did thought some of the performances were okay, though I didn't think the characters were that like relatable. Like I really thought the characters in the video game were like very likable, and because of the personalities that they gave them. And honestly, playing while we were meant to see them die, I kind of didn't want them to die in the game, honestly, because I honestly felt bad when they died. When they die in this movie, I was like, holy crap. I was like, okay. Um, but overall, and overall, the film is fun as a horror movie, and as an Until Dawn movie. It's not the worst video game movie at all, of course not. But it's still decent. It's decent enough. And so, what are you guys' thoughts on the Until Dawn movie? Let me know and comment down below. And peace out. Bye.